न तिष्ठति gamyamānān nāgatān nāgatādapi gamanaṁ saṁpravṛttiश्च nivṛttiश्च gateḥ samā.
tiṣṭhate gamyamānān nāgatān nāgatādapi gamanaṁ saṁpravṛttiശ്च nivṛttiশ্ch gateḥ samā. MMK chapter 12 verse 17. Not on the grounds of the now being visited, nor on the grounds of the already visited, and still less on the grounds of the not yet visited, does going stop. There is stepping forth, and there is stepping back, like there is a way to go. So the first thing to discuss is tiṣṭhate, tiṣṭhate, which I've translated does not stop. But in reference to the previous two verses too, I should have mentioned that originally, so tiṣṭhate or tiṣṭhate either are third person singular of star, and star originally means to stay or to stand still, to stay still, to stand firm. So tiṣṭhate is not actually given in the dictionary as to stop, but it includes the meaning of to stay in place, to stand still. So in the previous verses I decided to translate it as stop, but stand still sometimes has a somewhat more profound meaning, and there's a chapter of MMK, I think it's chapter 7 titled Utpada Sthiti Bhanga. Utpada means springing up, Sthiti means staying still, and Bhanga means breaking or cessation. And in that chapter, the meaning of Sthiti, standing still, staying still, as I remember it, I read it as a suggestion of the practice of sitting still, that is sitting meditation or zazen. So tiṣṭhate, he stays still, he stands still, he stops. I've translated it in this section as he stops as opposed to going and stopping. But I should have highlighted the deeper meaning, which can be explored, of tiṣṭhate, meaning to stand still. And then, so tiṣṭhate does not stop. And the subject, I've taken the subject as gamanaṁ in the beginning of the third pada, that is the beginning of the second line. So other translators have not done that. So tiṣṭhate, could it be one does not stand still on the grounds of 1, 2, 3. One does not stand still on the grounds of the present, the past and the future, because one's sitting still is dependently arisen. Does it have that deeper meaning? One doesn't sit still on the grounds of a non-empty present. So in that case, it's a kind of a refutation, an ironic refutation of the power of now argument again. Again, it would suit me well to, if I was following that interpretation, to take the subject as the anyaha, the one who is different, in verse 15. But if we take the subject from verse 16, then the subject will be the gatān, the goer. But if I understand the grammar of verse 17 correctly, then the subject is gamanaṁ in the third pada, so the act of going. So tiṣṭhate gamanaṁ means going does not stop. So the gist in that case is that going is an empty happening. The act of going is not a separate action, an isolated action. It's an empty happening, in which case it doesn't have a beginning or an ending, so it doesn't start or stop. That's the easiest way to understand it. And then, so tiṣṭhate gamyamānān. So gamyamānān is ablative of gamyamānā. Gamyamānā, the now being visited, which suggests the present moment, except as something empty, which is not subjective or objective. So the now being gamyamānān is ablative, means from, or because of, or on the grounds of. So if we understand tiṣṭhate to mean to stand still, tiṣṭhate gamyamānān does not stand still on the grounds of, sort of works well as suggestive of standing still, sitting still on the grounds of something. When we sit in zazen, we're sitting on the grounds of what? Well, conventionally thinking, we're sitting on the grounds of the ground. We're sitting on the earth, on the grounds of gravity and an upward and equal reaction against the downward pull of gravity. But ultimately, on the grounds of emptiness, we're sitting on the grounds of emptiness. We're sitting on the grounds of dependent arising. So that's why I've translated gamyamānān as on the grounds of the now being visited. Equally, it could be because of the now being visited. And nāgatān, so gatād also is ablative. Before the the art goes to an. So nāgatān, not on the grounds of gateḥ, not on the grounds of the gone, the already visited. So not on the grounds of the past. And then nāgatād is na plus agatād. So agatād on the grounds of the not yet visited, on the grounds of the not gone to. So nāgatād is nāgatād. And then before a vowel, the T goes to a D. So nāgatād api. Api is emphatic, or it means also. So na api, neither, or I've translated still less. tiṣṭhate gamyamānān, nāgatān nāgatād api, nāgatād api. tiṣṭhate gamyamānān, nāgatān nāgatād api. Not on the grounds of the now being visited, nor on the grounds of the already visited, and still less on the grounds of the not yet visited, does going stop. So sometimes, if we talk about on the grounds of the now being visited, sometimes you get this metaphor of the movie frames, so that, or the stills, so that each moment of the present is conceived as something like a still frame, but because they follow rapidly one after the other, we perceive them as moving. So that is suggesting that on the grounds of the now being visited, that is right in the present moment, on that basis, going does stop. Like the action is, you know, if you've got a still movie frame of somebody running, it's like the going has stopped at that moment. So I think that is certainly refuted by emptiness, because there is no separate moment. There's no separate present moment in Nagarjuna's teaching. And then, on the grounds of the already visited, you would say that if going is a continuum of present moments, then the ones in the past, going has stopped going on. Now, it was going on before, but they were present moments that have now disappeared into the past. So in that sense, going is stopped. So that idea is refuted, and that going stops in the future. I think that the Appy suggests, well, still less is that possible, because nothing can happen in the future. So a sentence that can be understood on various levels, and this first is another one where the translator is easily liable to be the enemy of the truth. tiṣṭhate gamyamānān, nāgatād. Next line, gamanaṁ, going. Not on the grounds of the now being visited, nor on the grounds of the already visited, and still less on the grounds of the not yet visited, does going stop. So if we refer back to the dedicatory verses and understand the verse in that light, when we think about non-empty things, they have nirodha and utpada. They die and are born. They cease and arise. But empty things, not things, but what is empty, everything being empty, there is no cessation and arising of things. So in that sense, going, an act of going, gamanaṁ, doesn't stop. It doesn't start, as we've explored in previous verses, and it doesn't stop. And similarly, anucchedam ashashvatam. Going is not continuous. It's not ashashvata, it's not continuous, it's not eternal, and it's not ucheda, it's not discontinuous, it's not cut, because it's empty. And anagamam and nirgamam, it's not coming and it's not going away, because it's not of the past or of the future. Then carrying on, the second line, saṁpravṛttiś nivṛttiś gateḥ samā. So saṁpravṛtti and nivṛtti bring to mind Asvaghosha's rendering of the Buddha's teaching, in which Asvaghosha uses pravrit and nivrit quite often. So vritti means rolling. It's from the verbal root vrit, which means to roll. So pravritti literally means rolling forward, and saṁpravṛtti means rolling forward together, etymologically. So if you look in the dictionary for saṁpravṛtti, it says coming forth, and pravritti, so rolling forward, suggests activity. So active activity, or in Saundarananda by Asvaghosha, I translate pravritti as doing, and the opposite nivritti as non-doing. So nivritti, ni suggests back or down. So rolling down, rolling back suggests kind of retreating, passive action or inactivity. So the dictionary gives nivritti as cessation of activity. And turning back. In Buddha Charita, I think the Buddha's, I'd have to check this to be sure, but I seem to remember the Buddha, was he going to turn back having left Kapilavastu, he didn't turn back, but if he was going to turn back, nivṛttiś might have been the word that was used. But for reference, I've copied here Saṁpravṛttiś, chapter 16, verse 42. Tasmat pravritim parigaccha dukam pravartakana pyavagaccha doshan nivṛttiś agaccha chatan nirodam nivṛttakam chapyavagaccha margam. I probably made an absolute mess of the reciting of that without having Kashinath Nyaupane's example to follow. But you saw in there pravritim, pravartakan, nivṛttiś, and nivṛttakam. So he says tasma, therefore, pravritim, doing, parigaccha, comprehend, dukam, suffering. Comprehend, therefore, that suffering is doing. This is the Buddha's words to Nanda. Pravartakan apyavagaccha doshan. Pravartakan, causative of pravrit, so impelling it forward. Avagaccha, understand. Doshan, the faults. Api, also. And so avagaccha are translated witness. It's imperative. Witness the faults, impelling it forward. Comprehend, therefore, that suffering is doing, and witness the faults, impelling it forward. Nivṛttiś, non-doing. Agaccha, imperative, realize. Cha, and. Tan nirodam, its cessation. So, and realize its cessation as non-doing. Realize the cessation of suffering as nivṛttiś, non-doing. Nivṛttakam chapyavagaccha margam. Avagaccha, understand, know. Margam, the path. Chapi, cha and api, and again. Nivṛttakam, so causative of nivṛttiś. So I said, know the path as a turning back. So nivṛttiś as a noun, non-doing or stepping back. So if pravritim is doing, saṁpravṛttiś, so the dictionary has coming forth. So I thought to translate that as stepping forth, and nivṛttiś as stepping back. And in doing that, I was cognizant of Master Dogen's famous phrase to describe Zazen as the eko hensho no taiho. Taiho means backward and ho means step. So the backward step of eko, turning, ko light, turning light, hen, reflecting, sho, illumination. So the backward step of turning light and reflecting. But Zazen, as non-doing, is a backward step. And there again in Shobogenzo Sansui Gyo, the Sutra of Mountains and Water, Master Dogen says, he talks about the mountains stepping, and he says, Taiho mo arubeshi, shimpo mo arubeshi. There should be backward step and forward step. So stepping forward and stepping backwards, I think I translated it. So saṁpravṛttiścha, nivṛttiścha, gateḥ, samā. So saṁpravṛttiś is nominative singular feminine. Nivṛttiś, nominative singular feminine. Samā, nominative singular feminine of samā, the same, equal to, like, and that takes the ablative. So gateḥ is the ablative of gati. Gati, which means going, but to distinguish it from gamanaṁ, which means the act of going. I translate gati as a way to go. So gati means going, also from the root gam, same as gamanaṁ. But gati includes the meaning of a path, a way. Whether Nagarjuna had it in mind to discriminate gamana and gati, not 100% sure, because they could both easily be translated as going. And he may have used gati sometimes just because it's got 2 syllables instead of gamanaṁ, which has 3. But I understand the use of gati here is referring back to verse 2. So tiṣṭhate gatīṣṭhate, where there is bodily action, there is gati, a way to go. So in the sense of a path or a way, gati suggests the potential for action. So a little bit different from gamana, which is the act of going. Gati suggests the potential for going, a path of going. So saṁpravṛttiś nivṛttiś gateḥ samā. So because saṁpravṛtti is nominative, you can translate it there is. There is saṁpravṛtti, stepping forth. Nivṛttiś, and there is stepping back. Then gateḥ samā, like the way to go. Like the way to go in verse 2. So in verse 2 it says tiṣṭhate gatīṣṭhate gamyamānān samā. Nāgatād tiṣṭhate gamyamānān gateḥ. So because gati, the way to go, going, is in the now being visited, in the present, not in the past or in the future, therefore, because tiṣṭhate, because bodily action is in the now being visited, therefore there is a way to go. Again, tiṣṭhate gatīṣṭhate, where there is bodily action, there is a way to go. Because bodily action, tiṣṭhate, sa tiṣṭhate, that bodily action, sa tiṣṭhate, that bodily action, gateḥ, because it is gamyamānān, in the now being visited, not in the already visited or the not yet visited, nāgate. Therefore, tatāh, gamyamānān, in the now being visited, gatīṣṭhate, therefore there is a way to go. So that's how we should understand stepping forth and stepping back. Because there is bodily action in the now being visited, there is stepping forth and there is stepping back. So what he's suggesting is passive action, positive action and passive action. Doing the gardening and having a lie down after dinner, they're both a function of the whole body. I think that's what he's saying. We should understand stepping forth and stepping back as action, bodily action. That doesn't mean action as a non-empty thing that starts and stops. They're empty happenings. On that subject again, talking from my own experience of going from being taught to sit upright in a very doing way, and then coming to the Alexander technique and making efforts to realize stopping as non-doing and to know the path as a turning back. See again, what did the Buddha tell Nanda in Saundarananda? Comprehend therefore that suffering is doing. Witness the faults impelling it forward. You know, I can't read that sentence without thinking about the faults in the vestibular system, like an immature moro reflex, impelling suffering forward, making things worse and worse. Then realize its stopping as non-doing and know the path as a turning back. So, again, like Alexander said, to know that you were wrong is all that you will ever know in this world. So I understood, thanks to the Alexander technique, that suffering is doing and doing is suffering. You know, to make a big effort to force yourself into the right posture is doing. It's doing born of ignorance, and it leads to suffering, and it's impelled forward by the faults. I mean, I realised that by seeing the fault in my own practice. But then realise it's stopping as non-doing. So, as part of my efforts to realise the stopping of suffering as non-doing, I studied the words of Marjorie Barlow, meeting her in person and reading her 1965 memorial lecture that she gave to the Society of Teachers of the Alexander Technique. And in that lecture she said, the wrong inner patterns are the doing that has to be stopped. And when I started reading in Nagarjuna's teaching about samskaras, the non-coming into being of samskaras, I thought, he's talking about the non-coming into being of doings. It's the doing, the wrong inner patterns of the doing that has to be stopped. So I latched onto that in quite an ignorant way, thinking that the task is to stop doings as if doings were non-empty things. So that's where this verse has meaning, because it's not a question that doings start and stop, because doings, samskaras, the second link in the chain of the 12 links in the dependent arising of suffering, they're also empty. They don't have a starting point or an end point. So that's why I think Nagarjuna is saying going does not stop on non-empty grounds. It doesn't stop on the grounds of the present, the future and the past. But nevertheless, there is stepping back. It is possible to know the path as a turning back. The Buddha tells Nanda, realize the stopping of suffering as non-doing. So, what I'm saying from my own experience is that it's the non-empty conceptions that are the wrong, where I went wrong, and probably where we all go wrong, by making our efforts on the basis of non-empty conceptions, like right posture, or like doing must be stopped, that's what Marjorie said, doing has to be stopped, but it has to be stopped as an empty happening. So doing has not to be done. It isn't. There aren't doings out there, so that our job is to go out and stop them. Our job is, as Master Dogen explains in Shobogenzo Shoaku Makusa, the not doing of wrongs. The task is simply not to do them. So again, I gave myself away on Marjorie's teaching table when in that conversation where she asked me, how far back do you want to go, because Marjorie was obviously realising that the cause of the trouble, the suffering which is addressed in Alexander's work, intuitively she understood it doesn't have a definite starting point. It's dependently arisen. So she was asking me, as I was making my efforts to sort of pinpoint where does the problem start, she said to me, how far back do you want to go? And I straight away, I said, all the way. And I thought that was I suspected that attitude would have been praiseworthy on my part, but I could see Marjorie was sort of imperceptibly shaking her head in exasperation, because what I was doing was end gaining. I was end gaining for the start, ironically. I wanted to get back to the starting point and understand how you really get to the bottom of suffering. But that was just the attitude of the person who believes that there are non-empty things out there to be destroyed and non-empty goals to be attained. So that's what's being denied, I think, in the first part of the verse. Going does not stop. But then the second part of the verse says, as in verse 2, where we looked at the fact that there is a way to go. Tiṣṭhate tiṣṭhate. Where there is action, where there is bodily action, there is a way to go. But again, that bodily action and that way to go are not self-existing, non-empty things. They're empty happenings. Or you could say that tiṣṭhate, bodily action, is an empty happening, and gateḥ, insofar as it means a way or a path, is the possibility, the potential for an empty happening to happen. So stepping back, to me, nivṛttiś, the dictionary would say cessation of activity. So it's like taking a rest. I think sitting meditation is best understood as a stepping back, whereas stepping forth would be this kind of effort to do translation work or going out and doing the gardening. Hopefully the effort of stepping back, the meditative work, is a good basis for the stepping forward.
न तिष्ठति gamyamānān nāgatān nāgatādapि gamanaṁ saṁpravṛttiś nivṛttiś gateḥ samā.